Awesome Patty from Pennsylvania here with Art Journal Flip number 7 in my Strathmore 500 series mixed media journal. This journal was between June 2015 and September 2016. First page we have a selfie. A lot of different techniques on this page. Some spray ink in the background. This was a jelly plate print, the green. And then some magic markers on top. This is boot camp lesson number 7. There's a lot of sketchbook school homework pages in this book. This one was lesson number 6, influences. Sometimes we're influenced by different artists. This one was Van Gogh and trees. To me, a tree is in constant motion. The branches reach up to interact with the wind. The leaves, like solar panels, catch the energy of the sun. The roots dig and search. Water is drawn up and released back into the air. There is the scurry and flutter of insects, birds, squirrels, and the silent growth of lichens and fungus. I would so love to learn how to draw a tree that doesn't look lifeless or static. Vincent was an observer of nature. He felt the pulse of life. He saw the movement of light. He used paint to translate his observations. He captured movement in his paintings of sunlight, stars, fields of grain, and trees. I love the curving fluidity of Van Gogh's trees. The motion of the living tree is in contrast with the solidity of the blocks of stone planted firmly beneath it. My sketch fades off to the right, just as Vincent's life seems unfinished. And this is in acrylics. I painted this looking at 2 poplars on a hill that Van Gogh painted in 1889. This was another lesson. We had to do a page from a line in one of our favorite songs. And this is Chicago, 1969. Does anybody really know what time it is? This silly clock my husband bought for me. It hangs in our kitchen. The rest of the page, I did spray inks and with a stencil, some molding paste. So there's a lot of texture on the page, a lot of color. Unfortunately, the page had stuck together when I was doing it, and then later on it popped open, so now I've got this white space in the middle, but that's okay. This was inspired by a video I saw on YouTube by CC Creations, and she's put some gesso in the background, a little watercolor on top of that, wiped it with a baby wipe, and then with bright spots of color on top of that. When that dried, took a black ink pen and created these fantasy flowers. I used black gesso to do this raven, and on top of that I Zentangled using these souffle pens, which work really, really well on top of black, as you can see. On this page I was inspired by Tamara Laporte, 10 lessons or 10 rules to live by. In the background is black gesso, and on top of that I used the souffle pens. Number 1, always wear 2 different socks. Number 2, saunter, dawdle, take your time, go nowhere in particular. Be at peace with messy hair, resistance is futile. Create new words like flibber wobber wobber. Talk to flowers, they are good listeners. Respect mountain lions, pigeons, and woodlice. Number 7, attempt to tap dance. Number 8, blow bubbles of any kind, soap, chewing gum, or other. Number 9, do away with your critical self. She is full of blink. Number 10, believe in fairies and angels because they believe in you. New Year's Revolution, saunter, saunter, saunter in 2016. The lettering was inspired by Joanne Sharp. On this page I just have a leaf stem study with acrylics. On this page I was playing with making a stamp, so I made a mushroom stamp. And the words say, news from the mushroom. Here I was trying to draw a white-throated sparrow. Some notes about sparrows here, different birds in the yard. This I cut out from a bird guide and pasted it in there. And that is my rendition there. Nature journaling at Climbers Run in Lancaster. At the stream, they have some rainbow trout. On this page, I was experimenting with making my own stencils. So I stenciled some mushrooms. Another sketchbook school assignment. We took white ink, put it on a piece of paper, put the black paper on top, pressed it down, so it's kind of like a monoprint. This helps you get very expressive lines. Now it's summertime and I'm sitting in the backyard and I have my feet in the kiddie pool because it was very warm that day, 96 degrees. Nature journaling at Blue Marsh Lake with my friends Carol and Francine. Quick sketch of the visitor center. In the center of the spread I have an old sycamore tree. Little vignette of the lake with some people fishing down there. And we're up on the hill, so the vultures were actually soaring below us. You can almost reach out and touch them. From the garden, Tommy Toes and Liger Tillies. So here's some tomatoes from the garden. This is in watercolor. And the tiger lilies were in bloom. Looking at the trees in the backyard, this is a Scots pine. And this is a zoom out picture of the Scots pine. It was zooming in. I drew the pine cone and a small branch showing the male and female cones, and even zooming in further showing what the needles look like. This is an example of zoom in and zoom out when you do nature journaling. This page was an assignment in an Ever After course with Tamara Laporte online. And we were doing fairy tales. This was Beauty and the Beast, and this is in gouache. Went to the Del Mar Beach in New Jersey. This is in watercolors. There were cow nose rays swimming in the ocean, and they kind of flapped their wings up above the water, and it looks like shark fins going by. This is what a cow nose ray looks like. And it was very fun because this lifeguard was going up and down the beach telling everybody not to swim out too far, that there's stingrays in the area. So of course I had to sketch him. Nature journaling at Millersville University with some journaling students. We were down at the wildlife habitat. There's a pond down there. There were some swans swimming around. This was during the Literacy Institute. And I sketched the swans reflecting on swan reflections. I love the way their white bodies reflected in the pond. This swan looked like he had quite a bit of attitude going that day. I have a short video about this page, Tomatoes Gone Bad. This is with the large acrylic marker in the background, that bright pink. This was a mug that I received from those students at the Millersville Literacy Institute. This is in gouache. This is a sunflower that was growing in the front yard. This is a What's on My Mind story. The deer actually came and ate all the leaves and flower buds off this plant, and I was going to go pull it out of the bucket. But as I was pulling it out, it seemed like the flower was tugging back, saying, no, no, leave me here, I can do this. So I left it in the bucket, and the flower came back. Some more tomato pages. This is another video I made, I Heart Tomato. About we don't have a garden, we have a bucket with a tomato plant in it. I did it once, and then I felt like I wanted to do it again, so I did it over again. There was a lot of things I liked about the second one that I didn't like about the first one. This was during my art in oatmeal. So this one was done at breakfast, and this one was done at lunch. This is a 1949 Ford pickup truck that I used to own way back in 1970, 1971. I have a little photograph of me with the truck up in the high mountain country in the Yosemite National Park. We actually drove this truck across country from California to Connecticut and got pulled over by a state trooper from going too slow. But that's because the speedometer was broken. Thinker Rabbit. This was from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. He's done twice. This is more detailed study. And this was a fast and slow. Take some watercolor, sketch him out really fast, and then with a magic marker or some kind of ink pen, go back and put in more details. Journaling at the Kutztown Folk Festival. I have a little pig and a chicken and a Dusselfink. Symbols of the Kutztown Folk Festival. What's on my mind? One day I was wondering who was eating all the petals off my zinnias, and one morning the mystery was solved. I looked out the window and saw a flock of goldfinches, male and female, pulling the petals off of my zinnias. I think they were trying to eat the little bit that was at the tip of the petal. Nature journaling at Speedwell Lake, just some quick sketches. When we arrived, there was a lot of buckeye butterflies, and then we saw some pearly crescent. Just a quick sketch of a tree and some white egrets that had landed at the pond at Speedwell. And then I had one more. One of the great egrets came closer, and I was able to do a little larger sketch of them. Some kayakers came by and chased the bird away, so I didn't have much time to draw them. This was National Dog Day, so I drew my friend's dog, Cody. Never Sink Mountain. This was August 2016. I collected some different leaves. We have a blackjack oak, a chestnut oak, and a white oak. Kind of did a little primary color scheme on that one. That's not their true colors. Also up on Never Sink Mountain at the lookout, there were some deer berries. They look like blueberries, but they're not. And I also sketched 2 acorns, one from a white oak tree and one from a red oak tree. Also, up on Never Sink Mountain, I did a landscape of the overlook. Excuse me. Quick sketch, looking down off the cliff. I didn't get a really good sense of depth when I did this, so I tried it again. This might be a little bit better, so you can see the edge of the cliff here with more detail, and the river is further away. And as the mountains recede, they change color. So those were my 2 landscapes that I did up on Never Sink Mountain at the overlook. I like this one, has a more variety of colors. This one's just too monotone. Urban sketching in Boyertown with my friend Kay. This is the church across the street from where she lives. I sketched the clock tower, which was actually under repair at that time, in the chimney, and then some of the greenery that was growing next to the church. And behind the church, they had put in a parking lot, and to put in the parking lot, they dug up an old graveyard, and then they took all the gravestones and lined them up. Kind of looked like an art exhibit statuary behind the church. Nature journaling at the North Museum on National Honeybee Day. I like this one a lot. Did it in watercolors, except for I put a little note here. This part was too long. There's a pollen basket on the bumblebee when it goes from flower to flower, but this is, stomach came out too long. Otherwise, I kind of like them. My friend Kay gave me a little purple bowl, put some flowers in it, did a little sketch in the morning with some watercolors. Just because, just did a fun page with acrylics. Sometimes you just have to play. I stuck this in here because this is acrylic and this is acrylic and they were sticking together. But kind of glued it in, so now I can't take it out. Another acrylic page, some spring trees inspired by Van Gogh. At a music concert, trying to sketch the musicians that were there. This was in Boyertown. And a tree outside of my friend Kay's home in Boyertown. Quick sketch. I was experimenting with thick black lines. Also at Kay's house, her fish had died, and she put them in the freezer. And we took them out and we did a little sketch of them. Some more tomatoes. I left this on the kitchen table. I left the book open, and when I came back there was this blue banana sticker on my page that my husband had stuck there. So I made a little note that this was the Blue Sticker Award for Best Tomatoes, sketched while eating oatmeal with peaches. Nature journaling at the Turtle Pond at Nolde Forest. Green frogs have 2 ridges down their back. Possum Patty's Sketch and Release program. Caught a caterpillar. This is an imperial moth caterpillar. Did a quick sketch of him and then I let him go. Some cloud appreciation. Very high cirrus clouds that day. Going to the Leesport Farmers Market. This was a conversation that I overheard. One woman said, "I love elephants and butterflies." And the other woman answered, "I love elephants too, elephants and dragonflies." So that inspired me to draw an elephant with butterfly wings for ears and an elephant with dragon wings for ears. And this is the bottle that I purchased at the flea market. Nature journaling at Nolde Forest again. This was their open house in September. It's a trail that goes off into the woods. A little story about the Nolde Forest here. One of the oak leaves I sketched and some of the evergreen needles. And on the last page, I have some of my silver dollars or moon that I picked from the yard. And I just love all these bright colors that I put in between. Symphony, last page in the book. Thanks for watching.